We got this article about no interference in creative works coming out of Japan. Japanese government proposes new policy for anime and game expansion in the West. The Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry proposes new policy guidelines for Japanese content and anime industries. This October, the Japanese Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry held its 8th Entertainment and Creative Industrial Policy Seminar, during which it proposed 5 key principles of new policy guidelines for Japanese content industry: video games, anime, manga, film, and music. All right. As reported by Otaku Soken, the new guidelines have been announced as part of a strategy to achieve the government's goal of expanding overseas market size for domestic content to 20 trillion yen. This comes only 1 month after the Japan Business Federation issued an urgent message calling on government to provide immediate, large-scale, long-term support for the country's content industry. I guess they're realizing like the cultural effect that anime and manga has. The 5 key principles of the entertainment and creative industries policy are listed as follows: large-scale, long-term strategic support, the support efforts to spread Japan-made content to the world, no interference in content of creative works, provide direct support and prioritize those willing to take a challenge. So like, this is kind of like, it's really hard to say, because on one hand it's good because, you know, we it would be nice if the industry did grow to the point that we'd get much more, like we would get more support for things like, you know, merchandise and things like that, like in the West, and like maybe like movie releases. But it could also be really bad, because what I can see is like, and let me know how you guys feel about this, like, you know, chat, let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how, if you're watching the YouTube video, let me know how you feel in the comments. But I feel like there's also a danger here, right? So while the expansion is kind of a good thing, it could also be a bad thing in that like other things can now infect Japan. Does that make sense? So I feel like anime, manga, and the video games that come out of Japan are a result of like the culture of Japan, right? Like obviously, but I mean, it's obviously the case, right? So what happens when, rather than it being strictly the culture of Japan from like which these creative works come from, now they're trying to pander to international audiences to broaden their reach. Do you see what I mean? Because now that would cause a state in which there is a high incentive to make things that are more globally appealing. So like, while I think the idea behind it is good, it almost seems like a Trojan horse. You know what I mean? And you see this happen a lot with already in Hollywood, right? Where in order to release things in like other markets that have high income potential, they will specifically make their thing cater to that country. So they're not really culturally or artistically pure anymore, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Secret Vinny says, I never trust anything where the government says we can help. Yeah. In light of recent events, especially aggressive content restrictions and global pressure from payment processing firms, the third principle of the policy has been attracting attention in particular. As explained by Mehdi, the government's goal is to invest in IPs, human resources, digital technologies, as well as support international distribution networks and overseas investments into building fandoms. Holy crap, freaking anime soft power. Is that literally what's going on? Is anime soft power? Consequently, the third principle was suggested to reassure creators that the freedom of expression will be protected, and that government backing does not imply the content of their works will be meddled with in any way. See, but what's going to happen, though, is they're going to meddle in it themselves, right? Because if you set it up to say, like, well, foreign entities can no longer meddle in Japanese stuff, well, then those foreign entities, as much as I hate that, I do hate that, by the way, but now the foreign entities are going to be like, well, I guess we're just not buying it then. And it's going to be like, oh, shit, well, now we have to pander to them. So now you have, so in the original case, right? So this is like how it is now. You would have the release in Japanese, right? The original Japanese release, the Japanese, you know, and you have fan subs, right? For instance, right? Going over to the West, you're able to watch it in its original form, the original Japanese, with subtitles made by fans that have an accurate translation, right? But by doing this, what you're doing now is you're creating a situation in which that doesn't exist anymore. Now it is only the sterilized version. Do you understand what I mean? Because if the foreign companies say, we're not going to take it then, right? We're not going to take it. Like, fuck it. Like, if you don't make an anime that has enough people of color, then we're not freaking buying it, right? Whereas before it would just, or say like if you make an anime where the main character says this thing that is, we don't like that he said that thing, then we're just not gonna buy it. Whereas before it would come out and then they would be like, oh, we'll just censor it. Do you see what I mean? Go ahead, Leaf, reveal your power level. Wait, what do you mean? Am I saying something bad? I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that. Anime is officially 3 billion more popular internationally than Japan. Oh, fuck. Dude, because everything we make here is woke sludge, even the woke tards are latching onto anime and ruining everything here. Shit. Okay, hold on. Let me try to illustrate what I'm thinking for you guys real quick. Okay, so basically, so this is like, I'll make a line in the middle, okay? And then this is like this is like the West, and then there's like Japan, okay? So like right now, this is kind of how it works, right? Like this is a new anime, right? And what happens is this new anime like goes to the West via like fan subs, right? Fans. And like then what happens is like it kind of like branches, right? And then you have like official releases, right? And so what happens is this anime, right? So like what happens with the official release is like they are like, oh, we don't like this. So we're gonna make like a toned down version of it, right? But as you can see, like the fan translation would be like the original, right? And so what happens is if official goes, Japan, we don't like that you're doing this. So they're gonna make a rule that makes it so you can't interfere, so you can't do this. Sorry, this diagram fucking sucks. It's really hard to explain like what I'm thinking here. You've got OG fan subs. That's what this is. This one right here is OG fan subs, right? So it kind of forks, right? Do you see this fork here? Where now you have the fan version, which is like the original one, but the fan version, and you have the official one where they fuck around with it a bunch, right? And then what happens is if Japan makes a rule that you cannot do this, right? This fork is no longer allowed according to the rules, right? What's gonna happen then is these guys are gonna go directly to here and be like, we won't buy it unless you do this. Unless you do this, basically. And it's the same thing, is what I'm trying to say. It's a terrible diagram, I'm sorry. They kind of seem not to want to deal with us, considering how often they'll block US IPs, even if they don't offer English content. Well, no, they're literally saying in here that they do want to deal with the West. They're saying explicitly that that's what they want to do. So like, the issue now is like, so previously, right? So to bring back this shitty diagram again, previously, like, say you don't like the official, say you're like, fuck this, dude, fuck this like woke ass shit. You can skip it and go straight to you skip it and you go straight to the source, right? And these fan translations are going to give you the original meaning and all that without this shit, right? But if these people are able to sway over here, now you're fucked, because now this doesn't even exist. Do you get it? Do you understand what I mean now? So right now, if there's a woke anime translation, you can skip it by just watching the original Japanese fan subs, because the fan subbers aren't gonna fucking do that. They're not gonna do the woke shit. They're gonna do the actual translation. But if this comes out where they say you can't fuck with the thing, you can't change it, right here, no interference in the content, you can't change it. Well, what happens if the other companies say, well, we're just not gonna get it then, we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it. You're not gonna go global. You're not gonna have any piece of that global pie of America. You're not gonna have any of that. You're not gonna have any of that American money, basically. And so they're like, okay, maybe we just make it woke to begin with. And then now, if they make it woke to begin with, it's then corrupted at the source. Do you see what I mean? Does that kind of like help you to understand a little bit more what I mean? You're literally poisoning like the source of you're going up into the mountain, to the mountain spring, and poisoning it, rather than it being down the stream, right? So like they poison it down the stream. You can be like, okay, fuck you guys. Like, I'm going to go up the mountain a bit and I'll drink from the water up the stream a little bit, right? But what could happen in this case is they're just going to poison the entire water source in the first place. No, the pirated content won't matter, because it'll already be affected. Anyway, in light of recent events, especially aggressive content restrictions and global pressure from the payment processing firms, the third principle of the policy has been attracting attention in particular. As explained by Mehdi, the government's goal is to invest in IPs. See that, this is what they want to do, right? Consequently, the third principle was suggested to reassure creators that their freedom of expression will be protected. See, their freedom of expression will be protected, so they're going to say, you can't change it anymore, right? You're not going to change. And I don't know if I'm reading into this wrong, but like, you're not going to be able to change like the original anymore for your own localization, right? All right, let's see here. Furthermore, Clause 4 of the policy proposal suggests there will be more transparency behind the support process, meaning less reliance on intermediary companies and more support directly reaching those involved in the creation and popularization of content. As for the reasons behind the new policy proposal, Medi cites meager results in its previous efforts to expand the overseas market for domestically produced content. With some of these measures did show results, Medi suggests that they were still at a low level compared to other countries like South Korea. The ministry commented that they weren't able to expand the stock of tangible, intangible assets and raise labor productivity and wages to a satisfactory level. They are hoping the new policy helps Japanese produced content conquer the world. So like this is explicitly like their what they want to do is they want to spread like their media content to be a major export basically, and to be like to be like one of the mainstream things, right? Like rather than anime being like so niche. And the thing is like this makes sense because Hollywood basically just freaking isekai themselves for no reason, right? It's not really super popular though. Yeah, but they probably want it to reach even more people. Innocuously says, I feel like your point is assuming Japan has less power in negotiations than I personally think they would. Surely the money is way too much for the West to want to miss out on, or just for the woke bullshit. Take it as it is or miss out. It depends if we get more indie, like not indie, but it depends if on the competition, right? Because right now, like distribution, and this is a little bit better, like because of online, like online helps us a lot, right? But prior, like distribution is going to be, was a lot harder before, but it's possible they could just do it themselves now. Cause like if they actually are serious about conquering the West, they don't need intermediaries. So it's possible for it to be a good thing as well. It just really depends on how they go about it. I'm just trying to think like logistically, right? Because like for like one market that would be hard for them to maybe break into is like the film, like getting things to like actual screen. And they're already like doing a pretty good job with it, but I don't know if they'll be able, like, could they do that by themselves? I mean, Demon Slayer did pretty well. So anyway, what do you guys think of it? Right here, here's like proof of it, man. You guys want fucking proof? Here's some right here. Freaking Shadowverse censorship between Shadowverse 1 and Shadowverse 2. So like there's already a lot of like self-censorship that they're doing. And this self-censorship, I mean, you know, this is not for Japan. There's no way this is like for the Japan. This is like strictly for the West. Yeah. Anyway.